time for the new release that we saw, which was Bad Times at the El Royale. This was a movie we talked about the trailer for, and I think both of us were looking forward to it.
This was actually one of those ones where I had heard, what's his name, Drew Goddard was writing and directing?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd heard about that, and of course I loved Cabin in the Woods, and I loved the big twist or the revelation of what Cabin in the Woods' story was really about. Mm-hmm. And this kind of looked like a companion piece in a few ways, with themes of voyeurism and all that kind of, and surveillance and that kind of shit. So it looked pretty cool, and it quickly became a very highly anticipated movie for me. Yeah, I don't know if I was as hot on it, but it definitely looked promising. It had a really good cast. Drew Goddard is on the up and up. He's a guy that's really been prolific. I mean, he obviously, we said, wrote and directed Cabin in the Woods, but he also wrote, I think he wrote the first Cloverfield. He wrote The Martian. He's had a bunch of work on a couple other things, written for a bunch of TV shows. I think he worked on Daredevil. But, this looked really interesting. It looked kind of weird, and I liked what the trailer was presenting. A mystery, which is always interesting, and, some maybe horror/thriller elements with some weird characters. So if you've been watching or listening to this podcast, you know that one of the recurring themes of this year, our first year, is that a lot of the movies we've seen that we've been looking forward to have disappointed us in one way or another. And if you haven't guessed already, this is another one. Well, let me put it this way. If I was one of those snooty writers in a newspaper, I'd write, "Bad Times at the El Royale is a bad time at the movie theater." I mean, yeah, I know. I stayed up all night thinking about that. I got to bed around 5,
Good. Yes, it was worth the effort. You make Gene Shalit proud.
Exactly. Now, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I will say this was severely underwhelming, and I would say probably not the biggest disappointment of the year, but I'd say that honor so far goes to Mile 22.
Yeah.
This was probably a close second or third. This was a large disappointment for me, at least.
Yeah, I was fine with this. I again, it's not one of the better movies of 2016. Holy shit. I just want to go back to the year when the Cubs were World Series champions, Alex.
Yeah.
But 2018, this is not one of the better movies of this year, but it's not particularly a bad one. There are worse movies out, and I wasn't super looking forward to this, so it kind of, it underwhelmed me a little bit, but not as much as, say, Han Solo.
That was... Well, see, I can't say that was a huge disappointment for me, because I went into that thinking, man, this could suck. I want it to be good, but it could definitely not be.
Yeah.
So when it turned out, it's like, shit, well, I guess I was right. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing I wanted to say. This movie, it's just going to make... This is like the final straw that broke the camel's back. I'm just going to try and be more selective. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go see a Han Solo anymore, because maybe it'll be good. I'm just going to be honest and be a little more practical and say, that doesn't look good, so it's probably not going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of issues in this. It's very, very... there's more issue. Well, you could argue there are more issues than pros.
This is a classic case of the trailer took some slick shots and threw something together that made it look a lot cooler than it actually is.
Yeah, it's not... The movie's not...
It's not terrible.
What is this movie like?
Well, to me, it's...
People have been using the Tarantino comparisons a lot.
Okay, I understand the comparisons because it's like, ooh, soundtrack of 60s soul music and,
a bunch of kooky characters talking.
Yeah. Minor spoiler, Jeff Bridges' character can eat a bag of shit for saying he didn't care for Hush by Deep Purple. I was personally offended now. Right. I kid, but I was like, come on, man. Well, I don't like that one.
You know what's weird is I think that's one thing that I walked out of the movie saying is with what every actor was given, I thought they all did, at the very least, fine.
No, see, the acting wasn't the problem.
No, it's the fact that this, you know what the problem is? This feels like a, what's the word? A passion project. It's a textbook passion project in that it has a lot of the pitfalls and pros of a passion project.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess my problem was it starts off and it's a little tiny bit slow out of the gate. Mm-hmm. Not for long, but for the first 10 or so minutes, you're just anticipating it. It kind of reminded me of like a Hulk or like a horror movie where you're like, get to the goddamn monster.
Right.
Where you just you like what you're seeing and you like the setup, but you're waiting for shit to hit the fan and for things to get going. And they get going and it started off fine, and I was really enjoying about the first I'd say 2/3 of it. Mm-hmm. That about that point.
It's another one of those movies where I would say the middle is the best part.
Yeah, but after the middle, like I was still with it, and then the final third act came in, and I was so not there. Mm-hmm. Like if I were to separate the chunks of the movie, like the last chunk of it for me was a 1 out of 5.
Which is weird because it's
I hated the last act, almost all of it.
It's really one of the only parts of the movie where anything big happens.
That is not true. You're forgetting. Well, see, that was the other problem is there was a lot of the things that set off the action in the first act, mm-hmm. which will remain mum on until we get to the non-spoiler section. It's like too much happens too soon.
Yeah, well...
And it's like, there's a lot of build-up in the middle based on that. And you're like, okay, I kind of like where this is going. But then, that's what happened, is after a while, I'm like, all right, I'm waiting to see where this is going based on these events that have happened, in my opinion, much too soon. Mm-hmm. Now where are we going to go with this? It's like, pardon the expression, you killed some plot threads mm-hmm. a little early.
How many characters die in Act 3?
A lot.
See, that's what I mean. I'd say it's too much too late for me. Because there's stuff that happens in the middle, but I just thought that the movie was just like, blah, 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 like at the end. It's like all this shit's going to happen in the end. And I'm like, what? Whoa. You built up to this? Like
that's what I mean. It took too long for them to justify that ending.
Right. And I think that's one of my big, fundamental, fucking bedrock ass issues with this movie is that it very much feels like a movie made by somebody. It feels like the first movie made by somebody who finally got the chance to have complete control over it. Never get, this movie's not going to get rewritten by somebody else. It feels like the first movie in Drew Goddard's his filmography where he's like, I have complete control over this. Fuck it. Fuck all of you. I'm going to do it. This feels like a first draft.
Yeah.
It's overstuffed and it's too fucking long and there's too many plot threads that just don't
that's
go.
That's actually a huge point of this movie that I had a problem was the length.
Yeah.
Because by the time it was over, it felt almost like a nearly 3-hour movie. Mm-hmm. Or that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it felt like a long-ass time.
It honestly is... And it's not just far from a 3-hour movie.
Why can't we have movies that are just 90 minutes, 100 minutes? Mm-hmm. I feel like because of Marvel movies and basically big blockbusters, I feel like there's this weird idea that movies have to be 2 hours and 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that extra 15 minutes, unless you really have a reason to have them there, that's not the case. In fact, 2 hours is often too long for movies.
You're right, and I think the people that get away with it are your Tarantinos or your Nolans or your Scorseses because they've proven time and time again that they can do that.
Except Scorsese, it's even to another level. He made Wolf of Wall Street was 3 hours, and I kind of felt like, but I want more.
Right, and it's like
there's very few directors who can do that.
And a lot of this movie is just here's a shot or here's a scene of a character walking down a hallway or walking
all
to
the
their
scenes
car.
Of what's her name, Cynthia Erivo. Mm-hmm. All the scenes of her singing. Jesus Christ!
I get it. She's
I get
good.
it.
She's
pretty singing. Good. Yeah. She's practicing. Yeah. I don't need to see this whole goddamn thing.
It just the pacing is not really good.
The pacing is probably the worst part about this movie, and it's like completely related to every problem we've pointed out.
Yeah.
But let's give the folks playing at home just a little overview of what it's about or whatever.
Well, it's pretty
we'll
simple.
Keep this quick. Yeah.
It's set in 1969, and it follows 7 strangers who...
Hold on, it was supposed to be 69?
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit. They missed a lot of music in that soundtrack then.
Oh, yeah.
Because I based on the soundtrack, I thought it was like 62.
Yeah, no, I thought, well... there's a spoiler thing. I won't talk about it. But anyway,
whatever.
Set in 69, the plot follows 7 strangers who are each hiding dark secrets that come to a head one night in a shady hotel on the California-Nevada border. They make a big point of that in the movie, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Like one side's in Nevada, the other one's in California.
I thought that was going to have something to do with it, and they sort of set it up that way. It's like, well, on this side, you can't drink on Sundays or whatever. It's like a dry county.
Yeah, gambling. And there's even another line where it's like, well, for starters, California costs $1 more. And it's like, well, why is that? It's like, some people want to live in California. And I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? This is a minor spoiler. Nothing.
Yeah.
It means fucking jack.
All right, so it's about these strangers who meet up at this hotel, and basically shenanigans ensue.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk spoilers? Because this is getting impossible to talk about.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right, spoilers time. For starters, killed John Hamm's character way too early.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Also, they kill him, and all he is a ploy. Has nothing to do with the rest of the plot. His mission at the hotel has nothing to do with the rest of the plot, really. Kind of.
I think it is. Because, well...
Not directly is what I'm saying.
No, I mean it has nothing to do with Billy Lee, but it has to do with a certain item, I think.
It's the film strip, obviously.
Yeah. That was actually something in the movie I didn't mind. I wish they would have said what it was, because we all know what it is.
See, I hate that device in storytelling, and I know it's really common in books. It's like, and then he waved. And you're like, to who? Asshole? Yeah. Why don't you tell me? And then she's like, no, I'm just so artistic and smarter than you that you don't get to know.
Well, I mean...
It's like, that's a bunch of bullshit. Just tell me who it is.
We know who it is.
Who?
It's JFK and Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, I didn't fucking pick up on that at all.
Well, because there's
I told you, by the third act, I just didn't give a shit.
Well, I don't know. There was the scene where they're looking at the photo wall, and every other fucking photo is Marilyn Monroe, and they keep saying I don't know, who's this guy? He's dead. And they're like, yeah, sometimes it's the memory of a man that matters, and JFK.
Okay, so when the hell was that?
60 when?
No, what? No, I'm saying what scene?
Oh, it was probably in the beginning, probably when someone was looking around or some shit.
I didn't pick up on that, but
I kind of figured, because I'm like, why is he here? John Hamm, because I'm like, oh, he's talking to J. Edgar Hoover on the fucking phone. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh, J. Edgar Hoover wants dirt on the fucking Kennedys. I'm like, got it. Which is honestly something I didn't. It's fine. I get what the fuck he was doing. He's trying to make... I'm going to make a movie that is literally a distillation of the 60s. There's going to be a fucking wiretap spy guy. There's going to be a criminal guy. There's going to be a cultist man. There's going to be a backup singer. And there's going to be a drifter and a hippie. And it's like...
Well, and don't forget the hotel... manager, but
a veteran of the Vietnam War.
Veteran of the Vietnam War. And I guess... I never really thought about it that way, that it's really a distillation. Yeah, but
it takes a while to get that. That's not something outward where you're like, oh, it's not like identity.
But that's also what I had such a problem with. It was so disjointed by the end.
Right. It feels sloppy.
Okay, so the first 2/3, there's some interesting stuff. Mm-hmm. And Cynthia Erivo's character is extremely, sympathetic.
Oh, very, yeah.
So I was rooting for her,
I liked Jeff Bridges, too.
But he's a piece of shit. He's a bank robber.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's still, not as shitty as, Billy Lee is, or other characters. I didn't. That was one of the things I'll say. I didn't like Dakota Johnson's character at all.
No, I thought she was super annoying.
I'm like, why are you an
when
asshole?
She got shot, I'm like, good, eat shit.
Honestly, those two characters were very poorly done. I'm like,
her and the
sister.
Yeah, her acting was kind of weird.
Well, it's not even that. I'm just like, am I supposed to care about you? Because it doesn't feel like Drew Goddard wants me to care about you, and I just. it's weird because like you meet them, both of them are immediately like combative towards characters that we like. So you're like, I don't like you, and then they get increasingly worse. So you're like,
in
fuck
comparison,
you.
I like what's his name, Jeff Bridges' character a little bit more.
Right. So it's like, I like Cynthia Erivo's character.
But what I didn't like was, obviously she's the one you're supposed to like the most.
The most innocent.
What I was waiting for was everyone to get it, but then he doesn't.
Right.
That's what bugs me about it. Mm-hmm. And also, there's just some things in the third act I'm like, please stop this shit right now.
Right.
He needs your help.
Oh, God.
Even though he knows you're not a priest. I'm like, I don't give a shit what weird sort of, allegorical, like, statement or whatever the hell you're trying to do here. It's just dumb. Mm-hmm. He knows you're not a priest. He's dying. Why would the hell would he still think? Oh, he's delirious because he's been stabbed. Oh, he's been stabbed, by the way, because he shot Boots' boyfriend, and then he's like patting her on the back, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did that." Maybe, just maybe, she might be a little peeved.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
It's sloppy.
I don't give a shit if that's like a nitpick. To me, that annoyed the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. That entire third act. Maybe she's a little peeved. Maybe she's gonna stab you. Oh, by the way, this old geezer who got bottled in the frickin' head. Right. Oh yeah, he's gonna take on this 30-year-old jacked like 6'4" dude.
Yeah, Thor.
Yeah, he's literally fighting Thor, and it's like an even fight. This is so stupid.
Right.
I can't stand that. Also, what made Cynthia Erivo's character, from her vantage point, so 100% sure that she could see that the drug was, their drink was going to be drugged before he smacked him in the bottle?
Oh, I mean, what the fuck did she say? She basically said something to the effect of like, I've been through this more times than you've known, or some bullshit.
But then he kind of says like, well, what if you're wrong?
Yeah, he's like, you would have smacked a priest upside the head, and would she say like, that's not the worst thing to be, or some shit? And he's like, I would have done the same thing in your situation, or whatever.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. It's like, oh, sorry, I was just doing that so I could get in your room. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I hope you come see me in Reno.
Yeah.
I'd be like, eat shit, old man. I'm going to take half this money, if it is there, and then we're never talking again.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing about the movie that I think most people drew Tarantino comparisons for is the dialogue. A lot of the movie, if it's not, oh, this character's walking through the parking lot, or they're walking down a hallway, or they're looking around, it's like, it's just characters sitting down and talking.
Yeah.
And while the dialogue's fine, it's not like a Tarantino movie or a fucking, or like a Joss Whedon thing, who co-wrote Cabin in the Woods with Drew Goddard. It's not like either of those where it's like, okay, this dialogue it's popping, it's popping off the screen. There's a lot to hear, where you're like, I could fucking listen to Sam Jack and John Travolta talk about burgers. Like, sure, they have interesting takes on burgers and like whatever the fuck, but the dialogue's not bad. It's just I'm not gonna sit here for 15 minutes, Drew. I can't do it.
I'm gonna partly disagree with you because I thought there were some dialogue scenes that were very strong. For instance, the dialogue scenes between Cynthia Erivo and Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Particularly.
They were good. I thought they linked. That was the overall is like, we don't get out of certain
when they were
scenes
talking about music and like you gather that something's foggy with like his memory, and then you learn about his memory loss later.
Mm-hmm. It was good. Part of me looks at that and is like, maybe that's, I agree. And I think that the reason I agree is maybe just because I'm projecting, or not projecting, but my love for Jeff Bridges and his performance in this is probably why I liked it more than the actual written words.
Yeah.
I
get what you mean.
It's not bad, but it's just, it's not stuff I'm going to listen to for like, I don't want to listen to it for 20 minutes. I'm like, God, the first scene, I'm like, fuck. Let's go.
That's
lobby.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man.
They're just sitting there talking in the lobby about this place.
Or like the ending where it's just like Billy Lee walking around like being weird and shit. It's like, just shoot someone.
It sucks because I thought the Billy Lee character was interesting.
Oh, he steals a lot of the movie.
But it was super underdeveloped, number one. Number two, it's just those. I have so many beefs with just like the way things play out. Like, okay, he's a crazy cultist. He would just shoot them all, kill them, and then take the money. He doesn't give a shit where it's from. Or like, hey, tell me where this money's from. Who's going to be after me? No. Blam, blam, blam. You're dead. Okay. Hippie freak, Manson people come with me. Like, there's nothing to that.
Right.
That made sense. Also, circling back to the beginning. FBI guy knocks down door. Oh, I'm not going to secure the person who's like probably definitely has a gun.
Right.
I'm just going to go over and comfort the sister. Are you all right? I'm sure she's not going to sneak up on me and, catch me like a deer in the headlights and shoot me.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about something structurally. The time lapse thing. What? Because I was not aware that was going to be the way the movie went.
Oh, the flashing back and such?
Well, it's like from... what's it, like Seymour's story, and then it's like Billy Lee's story.
Yeah, room 1.
Room
5,
1, room 5. What'd you think about that?
I don't know. I didn't really think it served the story any better. It's like Pulp Fiction is like, yeah, sure. These are 4 separate stories. Then they just so happen to overlap a couple times. It's like, this is like the same story, but you're just telling different parts of it.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons, Lisa's Day, Homer's Day.
Yeah. It's not bad.
When she makes the linguo.
Yeah. It's like exactly
All right, just lay still. Lie still. I knew that.
Pretty much. But it didn't, it was a little showy.
I kind of know what you mean. It didn't. What the thing I felt like is it wasn't necessary, and that was one of those things. It became more unnecessary as it went on,
especially in the climax.
Well, the Billy Lee's story, when that goddamn title card flashed, there was an audible groan in my theater, like, oh, not another one.
See, for mine, it was like the one where like he's like, how many people did you kill? He's like 123. Literally in the middle of the climax, cut to. What the fuck is it? Such and such a story. I'm like, what the fuck? We're in the middle of the climax, and you have a flashback. Like, come on, man. Like
that was the other thing.
It only bothered me twice.
Yeah. So he's in soldier mode, and then he makes that idiotic mistake. Like if it was some dude and shot one guy, but he just clears the room, and that's like, oh, I'm sorry I killed your boyfriend. I'm sure you're real happy about it.
Right.
And I really doubt you're carrying sharp, dangerous objects. because as we've seen, your boyfriend was a real even-keeled guy, and I'm clearly the bad guy in this situation. So you must be a completely mentally put together, perfectly person.
Right. Yeah, that's not ideal.
Perfectly put together, whatever.
Not an ideal.
Point is,
not an ideal tactic there, Miles.
No, none of it was. FBI guy. Oh, I'm just gonna leave her on the ground. Oh, are you all right? Blam. That shit annoyed me so much, and I was willing to let it go because at first I'm like, wow, that was crazy, but I'm willing to roll with. That's how I am with movies. Like my nitpicks, they only get more annoying if you keep. Making the same mistakes, or you don't address some of the mistakes at all.
Right.
Because, sometimes in a movie, like, there will be a scene where it's like a guy gets a gun kicked out of his hands. Like, how the hell did you manage that? And it's like a little, like in buddy cop movies, they'll, like, razz each other about it. And it's like, all right, I get it. People aren't perfect. But you'd think a guy on a mission like that would be a little more careful.
Right. Yeah,
and also... it just sucked that could have been a chance to make his arc a lot cooler. But they're like, nope, let's just kill him early.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the Chris Hemsworth character, he's not like in this movie until the last third.
And he's on the fucking front of the goddamn poster, man. Like, look at this shit. Like, he's the fucking foreground.
He's literally the center of the poster.
Like, come on, like that.
What did you think about the scene where they show them at the plantation?
The plantation,
or the whatever,
the weird,
the ranch,
the Spawn Ranch, where they're fighting.
Like, we're gonna have a tussle. That was so stupid.
It was stupid, but I'm like, that was actually one of my favorite lines.
I get the point of the scene. Yeah, I liked.
What did he say? Like,
it was silly, but he's like,
"Let's have ourselves an allegory." I'm like, that's a good line.
No, but I like where he's like, he basically said something to the effect of, "You think that there's all there's another choice between
Good and evil.
Right?
I'm
and
just
wrong.
stealing all the shit here. I'm watching them fight. I'm taking all their shit, and they don't even know it. And I'm like, this guy's like the Joker, but not as good.
Yeah, that was the thing is I wasn't buying this whole like let's play roulette thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Cynthia Erivo's character, you're just a big bully. That like when she was like you're just a fragile man, blah blah blah. You know, when she's like getting all tough in the face of a guy who has like you at gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you shouldn't talk shit. It's like I'd be like, Did I mention that I like your shirt? Can you please let me go? Like I'd be trying to be nice to my captors, you know. But to me, that scene reminded me of. Have you ever seen Sudden Death?
Oh,
with
yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know when they're keeping the daughter hostage,
Yeah.
and she goes up to the bad guy. It's like, I think there's something wrong with your brain. Like that's how silly that part seemed to me. She's like, and I get that it's like that kind of matched her character.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. She was fed up.
She's fed up. She's had to go through some shit, but it just. I get why it was said, but it came across as the little girl in Sudden Death.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just a big bully. I don't like you, Billy Lee. More like Bully Lee.
More like Bully P.
Oh. Whoa, man. He would have blown her away if she had the girl.
Stop. Fuck you.
I did like that one line where he's like, I've heard better.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like give
Jeff Bridges hulks out. Such a silly fucking part.
That's the thing is, I thought his character was cool.
Who? Billy Lee?
Or Jeff Bridges.
I thought every character on paper and the performances, I'm like, yeah,
There's
they're all
nothing
doing good.
wrong with the
Yeah.
and that was actually one thing I liked about John Hamm's
Mm-hmm.
performance was he played this obnoxious asshole, or at first until you realize he's undercover.
Right.
And you know what was weird is I'm like, I'm not believing this character.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, there's a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was cool little surprises like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole idea of the surveillance.
That's what I'll say about the movie, which is why I'm going to probably give it a higher rating than a lot
Yeah.
of people listening would think, is that the movie had me, like, for most of it. I know I said I was bored for some of it, but there is intrigue in this. It's like, why are there cameras? Why is fucking Dakota Johnson have her sister kidnapped?
Yeah.
Who's Billy Lee they're talking about? What's going on with John Hamm and these wiretaps, you know? Where's the money? What happened to Nick Offerman? Who killed Nick Offerman? It's like there's enough there for me to keep watching, and that's why I probably give it a higher rating than people are thinking.
No, I hear you. But anyway, what the hell is I getting on about? Oh, I like the ideas and I like the characters.
The execution.
But the execution was so bad, and especially to me, it starts off kind of good, despite the first scene having weird editing.
Yeah, yeah.
The very first scene.
You mean the Nick Offerman scene?
It's like I'd rather you had just played it out or changed angles, or something.
The jump cuts.
No, yeah, it's like if you're gonna have that long shot, just let it play out longer or don't use jump cuts. It just looked weird to me.
Also, nobody knew that no one was on duty when Nick Offerman was there that day and buried the shit in the fucking floorboards.
Well, but that's probably because it wasn't the kid because he was like 12 at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
Either way, so it starts off fine. You're kind of interested in these characters. Oh, you killed John Hamm. Wasn't expecting that, and I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. It was like, you know what? I'll roll with it, even though I kind of wish there was more of that character. I was willing to go with it, but then I'm like, all right, what are you doing with this now? And how did he survive buckshot to the face or whatever? No, I mean, I know it's supposed to just be a graze wound or whatever.
Well, and I guess it went through John Hamm or whatever the fuck. Or, I don't know.
Dakota Johnson's character is so fucking annoying, though.
I couldn't put myself in their place. Her or her sister.
Didn't it seem like the obvious thing was you're supposed to sympathize with her? Because their life is fucked up or whatever.
Like later, but I'm like, still doesn't change the fact that like you fucking murdered somebody in cold blood. And I can't defend you there.
That's what didn't make sense to me. Is it was supposed to be I'm kidnapping you to get you away from the funny farm or whatever the hell that place is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And then it turns into, I'm busting down the door and he doesn't follow up attack, it's just the one. And then she has him dead to rights. He says, like, hold on now.
Right.
No, I'm not going to hear you out. And then just kills him. That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, and then they go on and detain Miles and, threaten him.
Or I guess it makes sense because she's like, well, I grew up in a shitty household, so I guess that's my excuse to murder you when I could just clearly be like, what are you doing here, and like try to hear you out, but no.
Right. It's like you're not really endearing me to you.
Like it couldn't be a more literal example of shoot first, ask questions later.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then it was the opposite with Billy Lee and his gang.
Mm-hmm.
Ask
Weird.
lots of annoying, boring questions, then shoot.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I thought there was a lot of problems with how it was executed. Mm-hmm. Acting was fine.
Yes.
What is this? Is this Cynthia Erivo's first big movie, or am I way off?
I don't know. I know she's done more Broadway stuff. She was actually Widows is technically her first movie because she started shooting that first.
Oh, is that her first movie?
Yeah, Widows.
Really?
Yeah. Which hasn't come out yet.
I was gonna say her and Jeff Bridges, obviously the standout acting roles in this.
Agreed. Everybody else was fine. It's just either their characters didn't lend enough for their acting talents, or they're shortly used.
It just felt like it felt like in trying to be like, look at all these crazy things. It almost felt more like this is an amalgamation of a bunch of movies, and it just kind of didn't. It just peters out.
Yeah.
That'd be the perfect way to describe the ending. So I guess I've got nothing else to say about this, really.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm gonna say I can't recommend it, but if you want to see it, do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, man. You same.
Do you? However, it's time for scores. I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm not much higher than you. I think because I was a little bit less looking forward to this, I had a better rating, but 6.5 out of 10.
You charlatan! And
I know, and my decimals.
You're doing decimals on decimals.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's
Fast Times at
the Hotel with Cheese. Yeah. All right, what the fuck is the movie? Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yes.
Sorry. Anyway, that's that.